Canada's most expensive magic trick. It starts as these things often do, with trust, a new technology, a charismatic founder, a promise that this time the system would be different, better, freer. But in the story of Quadriga CX, Canada's most expensive magic trick, trust didn't just fail, it vanished, along with 250 million in customer assets. Today, we're not just telling the story of another crypto collapse, we're asking bigger questions. Why do intelligent people believe in someone they've never even met? Why do companies let one person hold all the keys? And why, when the money disappears, does the truth disappear with it? I'm Indiana, and with me is forensic accounting expert Dave Oswald. Dave, welcome back.
Thanks, Indiana. Quadriga CX started like so many other tech stories. Two founders with big dreams and almost no oversight. On the one side, you had Gerald Cotten, friendly, soft-spoken, reassuring. On the other side, Michael Patryn, a man who preferred to stay off the stage. And later we learned out why. Patryn is almost certainly Omar Dahini, someone who had 4 prior convictions in the US: identity theft, money laundering, credit card fraud, and involvement in the online marketplace Shadow Crew. He even served time in federal prison. But that wasn't public knowledge back then. Investors weren't asking, who are these people? They were asking, how fast can I get into Bitcoin?
So the seed of the collapse was planted right at the beginning, in the people, not the platform.
Exactly. Fraud really starts with the numbers. It starts with the character and the individuals.
Let's talk about the structure, Dave, or lack of one, because this is the part that keeps me awake at night.
It's absolutely astonishing. Quadriga CX operated like a financial institution where the CEO was the only person with access to the vault. No multi-signature wallets, no independent oversight, no internal controls. Just one person with absolute authority over hundreds of millions in assets. And when you remove checks and balances, you don't just invite fraud, you almost guarantee it.
And yet people trusted him.
Because he smiled, because he spoke calmly, because crypto was exciting, and humans are emotionally wired characters, even when dealing with digital money.
Then comes December 2018. Gerald Cotten dies in India at 30 years old. Crohn's disease, according to the reports, a tragedy on its own. But what happened next shocks the system.
Well, Quadriga CX announced that they can't access customer funds because Cotten had held all the passwords to the entire exchange. All $250 million was locked away forever. Immediately, questions began to emerge. Why did he change his will shortly before his trip? Why did he travel during a flare-up of a serious disease? Why was his death announced on social media? And why did no one else have access to the company core infrastructure? Even in death, Cotten controlled everything, and that's where the silence becomes suspicious.
Well, actually, Dave, this is where the story pivots, because the truth, as it turns out, was never locked away in cold wallets. There were no cold wallets.
Correct. According to Ernst & Young, who were appointed as monitor, they discovered that the cold wallets everyone believed existed weren't even real. Most were empty, and some hadn't been used in months. Funds were transferred to other exchanges or lost through risky private trading. Quadriga didn't collapse because Gerald Cotten died. Cotten's death revealed that Quadriga had been collapsing for years.
The magic trick ends not with a bang, but with an auditor opening the box and finding nothing inside.
Correct.
So, Dave, Patryn seems like a ghost in the story, there at the beginning, vanished before the end, and yet always present.
That's a very good way to put it, Indiana. Patryn helped build Quadriga, and then he stepped away around 2016, allegedly after disagreements. But his past didn't stay buried. People eventually discovered the name change, the convictions, the deportation. And after Quadriga's collapse, he emerged again in the crypto world, managing enormous funds under the alias Sifu. It raises a thought-provoking question. In crypto, identity is fluid, but the consequences are not.
And of course, we now have the recent development, a BC Supreme Court ruling, December 2025, a safety deposit box, $1 million in assets confiscated.
That's right. The court issued a default judgment ordering Patryn to forfeit cash, about 45 gold bars, luxury jewelry and watches, and even a loaded handgun. These were deemed unexplained wealth, and when somebody has a history like Patryn's, unexplained wealth is really a good sign. But, more importantly, no one has ever proven that his wealth came from Quadriga.
Which leaves us with the uncomfortable truth. Quadriga's missing money may never be fully traced. Some mysteries stay mysteries, even for forensic accountants. So, Dave, before we close, I want to ask the question our listeners are probably thinking right now. What's the lesson beyond don't trust the crypto bros?
The real reason is this: fraud survives where systems trust people more than processes. Quadriga was not a technology failure. It was a governance failure, a human failure, a failure to ask the hard questions early, and maybe a failure to accept answers that don't feel magical.
Because if someone claims to hold the keys to a fortune, they may be holding the means to make it disappear. Quadriga CX wasn't just a collapse, Dave. It was a mirror, reflecting our desire for shortcuts, our fear of missing out, and our willingness to overlook red flags when the story feels just too good to be true. Maybe that's the real trick, not the missing wallets, not the mysterious death, not the co-founder with 4 past convictions. The trick is how easily we believed in the illusion.